BRIT Ben Ross has finally been found alive after the trainee barrister went missing in Majorca for 12 days. The 26-year-old was discovered dehydrated and exhausted at the British Consulate in Palma as he was reunited with his relieved mum, Felix Robinson, on Monday. Several unanswered mysteries still surround the case, with Ben's mum being forced to fly to Spain on her own as she questioned cops over their investigations. Ben is due to stay in Majorca until he can source out an emergency passport to get back to the UK, with his mum saying he needs to be at full strength before they fly home. The Brit was living in Majorca before disappearing on July 10th, after a number of issues popped up. Ben was seen arguing with his flatmates after his belongings were stolen just days before his disappearance. His passport, iPad, keys and wallet had all been taken away while he was swimming at a beach on July 6th. Loved ones fears he may have been left with no money and no way of contacting his family and friends. The trainee barrister reported the theft to cops, but when he found his way home, the door to his flat was locked and his flatmates refused to let him in. A distressed Ben then broke in, sparking a huge row with his flatmates over the damage he caused to the door. Ben was then told to permanently leave the flat, leading to him vanishing just 3 days later, sparking a huge search which is still steeped in mystery despite him being found since. One of the biggest mysteries is around where Ben was actually found, with his exact movements still being unclear. In an update on the GoFundMe page set up for Ben, family friend Carla Spite wrote, "Ben has been found. Today Ben was at the British Consulate in Palma, Majorca, and met with Felix, who is incredibly relieved at the sight of her son and being able to hug him. No other details have been released yet, other than that Ben was suffering with dehydration and exhaustion." This has led to questions over where the Brit was actually found, or if he managed to walk back to the consulate on his own. Emergency services, friends and family have all been searching for Ben out on the holiday island in the sweltering 32 degrees heat, but found no trace of him. Another mystery is how Felix claims the cops investigating the case acted weirdly. Ben was first reported missing by his mum on July 13th, as she sparked a mammoth search for the Brit for a number of desperate appeals. Felix put out social media appeals as well as attempting to get the police involved in the search. The mother claims she rang her local police in Wigan and Leigh at least twice a day after first telling them Ben was missing, but alleges no one called her back for 4 days. Felix then went to the station and refused to leave until an officer took a formal statement from her. She later said the complaint was closed without any contact between Greater Manchester Police and herself. A spokesperson for the force went on to confirm all details have been passed to Spanish authorities via Interpol referral form, which the informant is aware of. If the missing person re-enters the UK, it will flag up and will be made aware. Spanish cops launched their own search for the Brit as they announced on July 18th that a homicide unit was in charge of the hunt. Felix fled to Palma 2 days later on her own accord, as she was seen walking through the capital, knocking on hundreds of doors investigating by herself. The devastated mum slammed local cops before she jetted off, as she accused them of not taking her concerns seriously. Felix added, "It doesn't feel real. I followed the procedure that's on the government website and I've begged them for help to get nowhere. I'm so worried about him right now. If they had done what they were supposed to do in the beginning, there's a chance we could have found him by now. But to fob this off without justification is incredibly distressing. I can't really put it into words about how I'm feeling." Despite the concerns, Felix praised the British Consulate for their help, but even they told the family they can't take any action until Interpol gets involved. It is still unclear if Spanish cops were in contact with Felix throughout the investigation. After Ben went missing, his mum was said to have been sent a peculiar email she says worried her about his decline in mental health. It came just days after he was robbed at the beach and fell out with his flatmates. Ben is said to have sent the email from a new address, but it hasn't been confirmed yet if it was actually the 26-year-old who sent the message. It said that Ben wasn't able to access any of his bank accounts or money after the theft, as he'd lost his bank cards and phone with his security details on it. Ben reportedly added that he wasn't interested in what happened next, sparking fears for his safety. The trainee barrister is said to have struggled with his mental health in the past, which fueled Felix's concerns. One of the final mysteries is around 2 incidents that happened to Ben in the lead up to his disappearance. On July 6th, Ben set out to get a European work number and was carrying all his important items, including his ID, phone, wallet, iPad and keys to the apartment he was staying in. After applying for the number, he decided to go to a nearby beach for a swim. Ben returned after some time in the water to discover his bag with all his possessions, including his phone, had been taken. He reported the theft to cops, but by the time he was done, it was getting dark and the man was lost without his phone. Ben managed to find his way back to the apartment, but despite knocking on the door several times, his flatmates refused to let him in. A distressed Ben then broke through the door and sparked a huge row with his flatmates over the damage he'd caused. Cops were allegedly called to the flat, but decided Ben had no criminal case to answer for because he'd offered to pay for the damage inflicted when he forced his way in. In the email, Felix says his flatmates then made their intentions to kick him out of the flat clear. Authorities investigating his disappearance are reportedly yet to discover any details on who or why Ben was robbed. His weary relationship with his flatmates is also believed to be looking at to see what condition Ben was in before he vanished.